Good morning, everyone. Today we will start with a topic introduction to transaction processing. First of all, what is transaction? A transaction can be defined as a group of tasks. Any task which we are doing in our database is represented as a transaction. So, let's go through the introduction first. Our main criterion for classifying database system is according to the number of users who can use the system concurrently. That means how many users can do the transactions at the same time. Concurrently means they are using simultaneously or at the same instance. It can be either way, either they are using it in same instance or at some random time slots. So we specifically classify these in two types, like single user system and the multi-user system. As single user represent a single user, that means only one user at a time can use the system, whereas in multi-user systems many users can access the same system concurrently. That means they can use at any time at any specific slots. There are more than one users who are actually using the resources and actually placing some order or some placing some transactions or doing some task on the database. So single database management system are mostly restricted to personal computer systems. Most other database systems are multi-users. When we are talking about a single database management system or a single entity of database, then it is mostly likely to represent as only one user is actually using it as for the personal use, or we can say that for personal computer systems. Whereas when we are talking about data centers or when we have a huge amount of clusters of database, then we can say that the DBMSs are multi-users, and multi-users means more than one user can actually use that database for storing information, for retrieving information, and for doing any of the task of uh, writing, reading, retrieval, modification as per the permissions which are given to them by the database administrator. So for an example, we have airline reservation systems. We all know that in airline reservation systems, there are hundred of travel agents and reservation clerks who are actually doing their task. Like travel agents are also booking tickets for their clients, and reservation clerks who are actually there for by the government. They are also reserving the tickets for the clients or the tourists who are actually willing to go from one place to another. So if we are talking about our Delhi airport system, so in even at the Delhi there are so many flights which are going from one place to another. So there are a single airline reservation system which is open for all of them, and all of them are using it at the same time, and they are using it for multiple users. So we can say that it is a sort of multi-user system environment. Or there is an example that is in the banks. In the banks there are hundreds or thousands of users which are actually operating their accounts or actually doing the transactions at the same time. Like if I'm talking right now, there are so many persons who are actually transacting some amount or are doing some payments from their any of their account, any of their bank account at the same time. So this is also an example of multi-user system. The database systems can be used in insurance agencies, where when there are so many insurance companies who are actually relying on so many customers, they are attending so many customers at the same time. Exchanges, as we know that in stock market there are zillion of persons who are actually investing, and there are zillion of changes which are happening at some specific timing slots a whole day. In the supermarkets there is only one uh, environment on which all of the persons are actually relying or actually doing their task. So these all are the examples of multi-user systems. The examples were banks, insurance agencies, stock exchanges, supermarkets. Okay, so what are multiple users? Multiple users can access the database, can use computer systems simultaneously because of the concept of multi-programming. What is multi-programming? That multi-programming is actually allowing the operating system of a computer to execute multiple programs or processes at the same time. So, when we are talking about a single central processing unit, we can only execute uh, one process at a time. But whereas we are talking about multi-programming operating systems, we can execute multiple systems or multiple processes at one time, and we can suspend one process and execute some more processes, give some more commands. It is it can be of any of the way. So now we are talking about concurrency. Concurrency is further divided in two ways: interleaved processing, and the second is parallel processing. What is interleaved processing? In interleaved processing, concurrent execution of processes is interleaved in a single CPU. That means the tasks are happening on a single CPU, like single central processing unit, as in our laptops. When we are using in our laptops and when we open our task manager, we can see that there are number of processes which are going through, and these all processes are happening in concurrent style, that or and concurrent style. Whereas in the parallel processing, processes are concurrently executing multiple CPUs, like multiple processes are happening at the same time at in different central processing units. Okay, so now we will go to our next slide, that is what is a transaction. A transaction is a logical unit of database processing which includes one or more access operations. That means it is a logical unit which is actually helping us for executing or for doing, for helping us to do some operations. Like operations can be like the read and write. Read means read retrieval operations. Write includes insertions, updates, and deletes. Okay, so a transaction is a set of operation which may be a standalone specified in a high level language like SQL, submitted interactively, or may be embedded within a program. So it transaction can be happen in any of the systems. If we are talking about our database like SQL databases or any of the embedded databases, these can these these are these can happen in any of the environment. So because there are some specific tasks which we are doing in our databases, so it can happen in any of the systems, in any of the type of the database systems. Either they are um, specific or they are stochastic. Okay, so now we are talking about transaction boundaries. So what are transaction boundaries? Transaction boundaries are can be specified as the big at the time span or the transactions which are happening in between of beginning of the transactions and at the end of the transactions. This is known as transaction boundary. An application program may contain several transactions separated by begin and end transaction boundaries. So we can say that there there are there can be several, there can be more than one transaction can be happening in our environment, which can be separated by beginning and the end of transaction statements in an any application programs. Okay, any single programs which has only one transactions can have several transaction boundaries. So we can say that there is not a specific proportion that only one transaction boundary can occur. In even in the single transaction, there can be a number of transaction boundaries that can be present. So then we will go further. So there are two type of transactions, that is, one is read only transaction and the second is write only transactions. What is read only transactions? Read only transactions are those transactions which can be retrieved only for reading purpose. We cannot actually update the database. Okay, whereas in the write only transactions we can update our database, as we can write any of the transactions or we can update any of the transactions which were recorded earlier. So these are the two types of transactions which we actually use. Okay, so what is a database? Like, it is a simple model of database which can help us to understand the further properties of transaction and how it actually occurs. So first, a database is a collection of named data items. That means we gave a name to all the data items which were present in our system or in our database. So what is granularity of data? The size of the data item is called its granularity. The size is actually representing as granularity. Granularity of data can be a field or a record or a whole disk block. That means the size can vary for our data. Data can be a specific field or a complete record of a transaction or a whole disk block in which there can be a zillion of or n number of transactions which can occur in our system. Here, each data item has its unique value. So why we are giving this unique value? Because unique value of that item will help us to identify each and every data item uniquely. Okay, so there are some basic operations which we can use for accessing our database, that are read operations and the write operations. What, how read operation is can be written as? Read operation can be written as read underscore items name. That here item name is x and read is operation which is telling us to which is telling us that this operation can only read our database or our transaction, and it cannot further modify our database. Reads a database item named x into a program variable. We have a program, and it reads an item x in the from the database. To simplify our notation, we assume that the program variable is also named x. Okay, so write item x writes a value of program variable x into the database item next named x. We have a database named x, and we are writing in our database x a value named x. It can be a record or a transaction or any field which we are actually placing in our database. Okay, so these are the read and write operations. Basic unit of data transfer from the disk to computer main memory is one block. Okay. In general, a data item will be the field of some record in the database, although it may be a larger unit such as the record or even a whole block. How we can execute these read items? So these are the steps which can help us in executing read item. First step is find the address of the disk block that contains item x. First we will go to that address which is actually holding our item which we wanted to read, that is x. So we have a database, we want to read an item named x. So firstly always know that when we want to read any of the specific data item, or if if we are looking for someone's house, even then we need the address of that person so that we can actually go to that person's house by knowing the address. Okay, so in our database system we also need our address of the data items. Okay, then the second step will be like that: copy the disk block into a buffer in main memory. We When we are trying to read any of the value, we always put it in the buffer. If the if that disk block is not already in some main memory buffer, uh, because the reason because of the reason we are putting it in the buffer because of the thing that this buffer when there is not much space, or our computer system is actually busy in doing some task, then this by placing it in the buffer, when the when our system will get free, it will grab that value from the buffer, and we can be easily access it we can easily access it. Okay, so the third step is copy item x from the buffer to the program variable named x. So what we are doing, uh, from that buffer, we grab that value of x, and then we named it as program variable x, and all of us can actually see. For an example, like say क्या हो रहा है इस प्रोसेस में, लाइक वी वांट टू रीड एन आइटम नेम्ड एक्स. ओके, सो हमें सबसे पहले लाइक अगर कहीं पे भी हमें जाना है, अगर कोई भी इंफॉर्मेशन हमें चाहिए, व्हाट वी एक्चुअली नीड इज़ वी नीड द एड्रेस. Address is the primary thing which can actually help us to find the main location of that data item. अगर हमें कहीं पे भी किसी भी सिटी में जाना है, what we always try to do is हम क्या करते हैं, हम लोकेशन फाइंड आउट करते हैं, लाइक what is the path for that. So these addresses are giving us the that specific path, and when we come to that path or at that specific address where item x is placed, हम उस x को पिक करते हैं, then we put it in the buffer. Okay,